Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Lorelei's story. And we're going to pick up the morning after what happened last time. How exciting. So, you've spent the night within the Temple of Melisandre.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine you probably had a pretty rough night. Do you think Lorelei slept well, or uneasy, or even slept at all?
Well, um, I think it'd be more fun to roll for it. Uh,
Okay.
so what do you think? Wisdom save?
I think it would be a wisdom save, yeah. If you're trying to see how well she was able to settle her mind, considering everything that happened.
Yeah. Okay. Um, sure she does sleep.
Now for the next
Uh,
question. Does she wake up in time to get to class?
with Lorelai, it's a 50-50. So we're gonna do odds and evens. Evens, we'll say she does wake up like 15 minutes before class and runs. Or odds, she wakes up 15 minutes after and is late.
Okay.
All right.
Roll it. Okay. So what actually happens
Uh-huh.
is Lorelei is jolted awake by
Uh-huh.
a stern voice appearing in her mind.
Mm-hmm.
Do you intend to arrive at class today? Or was this all for show? As the voice of Amilla Dorn suddenly crashes and wakes her up for sure.
Well, okay. Damn. All right. I think she doesn't even respond to that. She just quickly gets out of bed. She slept in her clothes, like boots, everything. And she grabs her pack and she goes, shit, 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 shit.
So that's what Amilla Dorn hears in response is shit, 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 shit.
Yep.
Okay.
And she runs all the way
All right.
to the Merry-Guard Academy.
All right. So you are booking it. You run up the main street all the way up past the Merry Guard, which is still closed this early in the morning, and you blast into the lobby of the Merry Guard. Persh just like glancing up and then looking back down at his desk, completely just dismissive.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't say a thing.
I think Persh would hear shit, fuck.
Yep. He doesn't
Just out of
say. He doesn't say a thing. He.
Uh-huh.
As you come blasting into the sorcery classroom,
Mm-hmm.
Amilla Dorn, who's by the table, and Sparks and Erithea are already, like, they're working. They're already, like, they've been handled their assignments, and Amilla is standing with perfect posture, her hands behind her back, looking over the table that they're working at. As you enter, she just gestures curtly and says, "Sit. Let's begin."
Yeah, she'll kind of reach the bottom of the stairs after like fast pedaling down them, and then she'll slow. And as she goes to take her seat, she'll like fix all her clothes because now they're loose from being slept in. Uh,
You
and she sits
smell
down.
of body odor. And she, like, winds her hands in the air behind you, and you feel just like a weird tingling sensation of magic that climbs from your feet all the way up to your fingertips as you are prestied.
Mm-hmm.
And you no longer smell of sweat, but you don't really smell of anything.
She gives her one of those smiles that just doesn't reach her eyes and no teeth, and just like the cringy smile.
So like Amila's not making eye contact. She's clearly busy. And
Uh-huh.
suddenly she just sets in front of you a brass pendulum on the table. I know your magic came in fire. Panic. Something ripped open inside you and did not ask permission. And the pendulum begins to just tick, 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 tick. You don't need to tell me what happened. I already know more than I should. And finally, she makes eye contact with you.
She's Lorelai. At that, she has her arms crossed in front of her, and she's very defensive about that. And she just looks at Amilla. Okay, so
I was there when the gods were still silent. On the eastern coast of Ceres, the siege at Nemeath. 3 days with no suns, and the undead came in waves. Half of my company was gone before I could cast a single spell. And I didn't do it on purpose, either. My magic came when I was screaming. Blood in my mouth, my brother crushed under a fallen ballista. I reached for him and turned 4 ghouls into ash. I didn't know how, and I didn't care. I just needed the world to stop hurting. I've spent the last 2 centuries learning how to do it again, without the screaming. So, we will not talk about grief here unless it serves the work. We will talk about rhythm, breath, control. She gestures to the pendulum, which is currently ticking. The plane of Mechanus has aligned itself with you, whether you like it or not, and that, from what I understand, is the origination of your magic. I've had a conversation with Cressida about your father. Similar magics, it seems. If the clockwork plane gave you its gift, then we'll make it something you can choose, not something that chooses for you. Right now, all I'm asking for is for you to breathe. Match your breath to the pendulum.
That whole spiel, that story that she gave, I think that would get Lorelai to uncross her arms, and they just kind of fall down in her lap, and she'll just simply nod and look at the pendulum and try her best, even with the thoughts that are going through her mind, to match her breathing to the pendulum.
As you're trying to breathe, Amilla continues. Magic born from trauma is not rare. It is powerful, violent, difficult to undo, but very possible to master. I do not care about the moment of its manifestation. We are not here to relive it. We are here to shape what came of it. In the distant future, you will never see it as a gift, but perhaps a spark that changed who you were in that moment. That pendulum swings in perfect rhythm, the same as the heart of Mechanus, the plane your magic echoes. Do you know what Mechanus is?
Nope.
Do you know what the outer planes are?
No, I don't.
There is more to this world than it meets the eye. Our realm, everything you see, exists on the prime material plane. Outside of that, keep breathing. Keep matching it. I can hear your heart is too fast. Relax. Match it. The outer planes, the inner planes, and the prime material. The inner planes are those that are closest to us, the ones where monsters and fae and fiends slip into our world through the cracks. The Feywild, the Shadowfell, the Underdark, these are all planes that are touching ours. They are the closest. And I'm sure you've heard those names before, though perhaps you did not know how to place them. They are filters through which we see our world. The Feywild is the filter of emotion. particularly the ones of heightened senses such as happiness, joy, worry, fear. They flavor them with colors of the summer court and winter court. What matters is that you understand the Feywild is a place of extremes, extreme highs and extreme lows. Your magic will reflect that, especially when it's driven by emotion. Once we delve past the Feywild, Shadowfell, and Underdark, we stretch out into the outer planes, particularly the plane of Mechanus, the plane of law and order. It is in your blood to want things to be just so. Whether you agree with it or not matters very little. Your soul is bound along the lines of order. You might find yourself in the future repelling against chaos and things that be nonsensical might find disgusting or revulsive. This is not important. But your magic follows these lines, and so as you understand the order of it, the law that governs how you cast your spells, you'll learn how to control them, how to correct things that you see in the air around you and in others. Your magic is going to be quite powerful, so long as you learn how to control it. As she's talking, I'd really like it if you could roll me just a straight charisma roll.
Okay. Middle of the road, 15.
15 is not middle of the road. 15 is a success.
On the
you rolled a 10, yeah. So, as she's talking, perhaps, maybe you are finding some truth, or you're understanding exactly what she's saying, or you're ignoring her and focusing entirely on the pendulum and managing to match it with your breath. Because after she explains what the plane of Mechanus is, the plane of law and order, you find that your breathing is indeed matching the pace of the pendulum. Amila,
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I think Lorelei would not so much hear the whole lesson and just kind of focus in. Trying to focus in. Yeah, because all that information is way over her head. So, yeah.
As Amila stops next to you, looking at the pendulum and matching your breathing, she nods, and she places a finger on the pendulum. And as she does, you notice that your breathing stops for a moment. It takes you a moment to even realize that you're not breathing, and then you remember to catch your breath. And she says, "It can be the most easy thing in the world to let your magic loose and let go of control of it. But should you do that, you are not a sorcerer, just a weapon. The control must be in your hands." Roll me a spellcasting check.
Okay. Uh, 16.
With a 16, you, force yourself to breathe. And as you do, the pendulum pulls itself out of Amila's fingers. She clasps her fingers away from it, and she nods. Good. You do have the knack for it. Your potential has no bounds. Where we are now is what we must work on. And she picks up the pendulum and, disappears to the cabinet behind you. And as she does that, you, glance up and you see Sparks is, across the table from you. And he has, a book open, but he, looks up at you. And he just gives you this very wide, brass, kobold, toothy smile. And he just gives you a thumbs up, yeah! How would Lorelei react to that?
I think her focus would be on the pendulum as Amilla takes it away. But as he gives her the thumbs up, I think she'd give him the slightest of smiles.
You would notice that Sparks, the kobold across from you, like, is smiling back super wide, and then he sees Amilla's coming back, and he just immediately puts his nose back down in the book as a cube is placed on the table in front of you.
What's this now?
This is an arcane resonance cube. It is a simple little toy. It is meant to teach youngsters how to control their magic, those that know it exists. You are new to the subject, and so I want you to try and turn the faces of the cube, but without touching it.
Okay. How do I do that?
Reach out with your senses to the cube. Once you do, you will feel lines within the cube. You'll feel wires of resistance within it. These are the same, or rather they'll feel the same, as the ley lines of the world around you. Focus it on the cube, feel these lines, and push them with your mind.
Okay, sure.
So are you proficient in... Let me just look at your proficiencies. You're not. Okay, awesome. All right, so this is... You're basically... It's like a blind person reaching out, trying to feel anything.
Okay.
So let me look at your cantrips right now. All right. Interesting. Roll me a spell attack at disadvantage.
Disadvantage. All right.
So what your character is doing, or rather what Amilla is asking your character to do, is like...
Holy.
Yeah, that's really good. Is to like reach out and feel the weave in this cube and try to alter it. Because as a sorcerer, your magic is innate to you. It comes from your body. What does that look like for Lorelei? What does it look like for her to try and like reach out innately and feel a magic essence near her, do you think?
She doesn't have the smarts. I'm assuming Arcana was the check for...
I was looking to see if she understood the weave, basically. But
Mm.
instead, what it would literally feel like to someone who's untrained in Arcana, imagine you're with your eyes closed, you're remembering the outlines of a room that you're in. Except,
Okay.
in this case, it's a new object, but she can remember the shape of the cube and the shapes within it.
Okay. I think this would look like Lorelei would enter the vault that is her mind and remember way back when her father was showing her how clocks worked and the inner workings of them and all the cogs and everything, how everything worked together. And she would sort of visualize it on this cube, and she would find the cog that spun the cube within, like the very center of it, to turn it to the right. And she would...
Are her eyes closed as she does this?
I think they would have to be, yeah.
Okay. As you focus on this, you hear... And when you open your eyes, you see that the cube, one of the faces has completely turned to the right and has changed color. It's now glowing a gentle gold. And Amilla says, "Your visualization is quite adequate for our purposes. You have the grasp of it, which is good. It means the next steps are going to be simple. Well, simple, but not necessarily easy. But you're off to a good start."
All right.
Whatever means it was of your visualization, whatever it was that you used, it aligns with your magic, with the heart of your sorcery. Wherever it came from, I suspect, likely aligns with the plane of Mechanus, logic and order. Well done. And she picks up the cube and goes back to the cabinet.
Mm.
There is one note of concern, however.
Hmm?
And she, closes the cabinet and then stands next to you at the table.
What's that?
Discipline is important to me. You, while you are learning to be a sorcerer, you will be learning to be a sorcerer of the Merigard Academy. My goal is to train you into a mercenary, a contractor, one that the Merigard Mercenary Guild can hire. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Good. Then I can trust you won't be tardy.
I will try my best.
See that attempt ends in success. Now, follow me. She leaves the room.
She'll her brows will furrow and she'll kind of get up, stumble her way over.
Yep. She leaves the room. She goes straight out into the main halls and towards the lobby. And as she's walking, she asks, "Do you understand what the duties of a sorcerer of the Merigard Academy will be when you're part of a team?"
I'm assuming do magic and blow shit up? I don't know.
Well, no. And she continues through a door and then goes down some steps, assuming that you're going to follow her.
All right. Yep, she does.
You are led into a round chamber. There is sand lining the floor. There are walls that rise up in this round room, and then above it you see there are vacant benches all around it. It's a stadium, a small one. And as she leads you out into this room, she says, "This is the Merigard's training room. This is where we will put your practical practices to the test. I need you to understand that while this chamber will protect you from lethal blows and strikes, should things become dangerous, they are truly dangerous, so whenever you are sparring or practicing with another student, keep that in mind." And she proceeds out into the middle of this sandy room.
You said this room I'm sorry, you said this room prevents death?
It does its best. There is magic infused within the room that will heal injuries and will prevent unconsciousness from proceeding any further. That being said, the healing magic bound to this room can cause insanity if one is exposed to it for too long.
Okay.
For our purposes, practicing for a few hours is harmless. However, should one spend more than 24 hours within this room, things become dangerous.
Got it. So don't sleep in here.
Absolutely do not sleep in here. Now, this is the sort of room where I expect you to let loose. This is the room where you can let go of control, because the only way to find your limit is to cross that edge. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Good. This also means that you are going to have to toe the line of that grief. And I understand that is difficult.
She just heaves a big sigh.
There is no judgment here. You are going to grow vulnerable here with me, as I will as well with you. As we cross these emotional barriers, you will cry, you will hurt, you will sob, but you will also succeed, and you will become a sorcerer, as opposed to just a weapon. And she raises her hands, and a suit of armor is suddenly condensed out of the sand. It's as though like a pillar of sand emerges from the ground and then solidifies into just armor. And she says, right.
Lorelai goes, "What the fuck?" Just
Less questions. Attack this. But do
Uh,
not use your hands, feet, or weapons. You must use your magic. And she creates an opponent for you. And this is what it looks like.
could that have like triggered mage armor?
You mean you want to cast mage armor like in surprise?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
I think she'll put her hands up, and because she didn't expect that to happen at all. This like these golden wheels start to spin like in front of her, protective,
Like gears?
like gears. Yeah.
Okay. As that happens, the suit of armor stumbles forward towards you, and it's going to try and slam you.
Okay.
Because this was not a surprise round, it's going to try and just bap you with its gauntlets. What's your AC with mage armor?
17.
Okay, it rolled a 16 to hit. So, what does it look like when the cogs defend you?
I think they will actually go out to catch the like a shield blocking both the wrists of this shield, this animated armor.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As that happens. Good. But if you panic again, it will capitalize. Stay ahead of it. And now it's your turn.
She pulls out a dagger reflexively. But I'm sure Amila doesn't want to see that.
As you pull out a dagger, the dummy also pulls out a dagger.
Okay. Then I think she'll reach. Oh, what do I do here?
I don't know.
I think she'll pull out the dagger and she'll like think, fuck, I'm not supposed to use this thing.
You're wasting
magic,
movement.
sorcerer.
Let the rhythm guide your breath.
And she'll just point at the thing and just say, stop.
Okay.
And she'll cast Mind Sliver.
Oh, okay. What's the save? Or is that a save?
Yeah, 15 intelligence save.
Oh, an intelligence save. The dummy rolled a 7 for a 2.
Okay. It takes 1d6 psychic damage. Probably nothing, maybe.
Takes 5 psychic damage. No, it deals full damage to it.
Oh, cool.
What does your mind sliver look like?
It's like it doesn't show up on her, but in the eyes or like surrounding the head of the dummy, it just like a cogwheel, like a how do I say this? Like an invisible cogwheel just in its brain just suddenly freezes and stops. And that's the psychic damage of it. Like one cog in its brain was like working, and then it just suddenly stops, and it deals damage.
You hear Amilla say, "You used your head. I was starting to think it was ornamental." As the dummy, hesitates. And you notice that as the spell took effect, the dummy suddenly moves much slower than it was a moment ago. As the spell successfully lands, the dummy loses a turn.
Okay. It subtracts a d4 from its next saving throw.
Okay.
That. Okay.
Seeing the dummy fail, and it's freezing up, Amilla says, "Use that tempo again, that rhythm. It suits you."
Okay. She'll take a step back, trying to get some distance.
It does get a reaction. It's going to whack you. Or try to. You said your AC is a 17?
Yep.
I roll a 14, so it whiffs.
Okay. Yeah, she'll quickly step back. All right. What's other things I can do? Not as big as she'll just kind of like thrust her arm out and just kind of not fully go into what she did in that room. But she will just open up herself for a little bit of it, and she'll cast Sorcerous Burst.
Sorcerous Burst. Okay, go ahead.
I can choose the damage type. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. This one's going to be... her mind's on that cube that she just manipulated, so she's going to do lightning. 24 to hit.
24 to hit. Absolutely.
Yeah. 7 damage.
7 damage. Hold on. And it's lightning?
Lightning,
yeah. The dummy, shifts and, shudders quickly from the lightning damage, which seems to not slow it down like the psychic did. And it surges forward. But that was successful, as it happens. Amilla says... Go ahead.
I think when that happens, the faintest smirk comes on Lorelai's face.
Amilla says, "A spell like that says I'm here and I mean it. Keep saying it." The dummy surges towards you, swinging its dagger that you drew. That's a 19 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. You take 5 points of slashing damage.
Oh, okay. That's half health.
Yep, sorcerer.
All right. All right, she'll get cut with the dagger. And she hasn't really been cut before. But that makes her angry that it actually touched her.
Yep.
So she will let loose fully, and this is probably gonna fuck her up, but she casts Burning Hands into its face.
So a dexterity save.
Yep.
I rolled a 5, which is not enough. So that's 11 points of fire damage. As the flames blast into the dummy, Sloppy!
Uh-huh.
Your instincts want to burn. fight that. Think first, then burn.
I'm gonna roll a wisdom save. Because it's the same spell, same indicator.
Yep.
Well, what a 12. This is probably on me, huh?
Yeah, this is you.
Yeah.
You got to choose this. This is your trauma, your character. What happens here?
Okay. Well, a 12. I don't think it's enough.
Okay.
So she'll see that her eyes will go super wide, and she'll back up. Like she'll just back
in
up.
panic, she backs up. Okay.
In panic, yeah.
It swings at you. Though it has a minus to attack because of the fire damage. It's a 15 to hit. It misses. So, as you're backing up, you see the gears from your mage armor, like, fly out in front of the dagger, and it's just shing as it bounces off of them, and they retreat back towards you. And, well, what do you do, Lorelei?
She's stunned for this round.
You're stunned. Okay. All right. The dummy is going to proceed up towards you. In the panic. It has advantage on its attack because you're stunned, but it still has a minus because of the fire damage. I rolled a 6 and a 3. So even though the panic is taking over you right now, the mage armor, the magic that you summoned to protect yourself, the gears are still lashing out and blocking the strikes from this dummy. You hear, the weave listens to clarity. Right now you're muttering. Breathe. Breathe, Elle. Get a hold of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Here we go. Natural 20. Cool.
Do you think that she gets a hold of herself after? Do you think that was like in spite of Amilla, or? I think the perceptions of Amilla matter here. I think how Lorelei is seeing Amilla, like, is she seeing Amilla as like an enemy or someone to be spited, or is she seeing her as somebody who's trying to help her, and this is helping ground her? That's what I want to know.
From the conversation this morning, that just happened, I think Lorelei sees her as neutral, that she's trying to help, but Lorelei doesn't really want the help.
Sure.
She feels guilty. But I think the words do bring her back, snap her back, because she is under attack from this thing right now, and she will mind sliver it again.
Okay, another intelligence save.
Yep.
That is a 9.
Okay.
Psychic damage.
Yeah,
3. As that happens, Amilla like claps once and she says, "Now you're thinking like a tactician, not a torch. Keep at it." The dummy is slowed again by the psychic and misses its turn.
Oh. She'll just this time she'll thrust out with the dagger, trying to find a spot between the armor. 16?
Nope, doesn't hit. It is a suit of armor.
Yeah, figured. That's fair.
As you thrust at the suit of armor, the blade bounces off the metal. And you hear, "That's what panic looks like. Do you want your enemy to know you're afraid?"
It's what I know.
Magic won't save you if your spine gives out first. That is what we are training. And
Okay.
the dummy's gonna stab you. Or try to. That is a 17.
That hits.
Okay. That is 4 points of piercing damage.
On 1 hit point.
1 hit point. Okay. All right. How does Lorelei react to being critically wounded, even in this test area?
Yeah, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So what she'll do is it's a suit of armor. So she knows erosion would best, like some sort of acid would erode metal.
Oh, sure.
So she's going to Sorcerous Burst again in melee. However, the cogs that are kind of translucent around her, protecting her, spin faster as she restores balance to give herself not disadvantage.
Okay. Mechanus favors order. Let your chaos beg for your attention and ignore it. That is exactly what your magic is for. That's a natural 1, my guy.
Yeah, it is for an 8.
So, even though you restore order and Amilla recognized that magical effect, and she is applauding you, perhaps it's a distraction, and the Sorcerous Burst just misses the dummy in front of you.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well.
Yep. That's how it goes. The dummy is going to strike. That is a 14 to hit, so it doesn't even matter.
Okay. Yeah. Well, restore balance is she's gonna go with what works. Now.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna say, "Just would you fucking die already?" Jesus. There's no Jesus here. But yeah, she'll mind sliver it again.
You, like, as you say that, she says, "Control, not impulse. If you can't master the moment will master you." Okay, intelligence save. It fails. It's got a -5 to its int save. You deal 2 points of psychic damage. And it is slowed. It does not get a turn.
Okay. It's just gonna keep on doing it again. Because she's hurt and it's working.
Yep.
And time another 2.
Okay. Well,
good. Chip this thing away.
Hold on. I fail. All right, another 2.
That's action. I think at this point she's very hurt, and so she's like mind slivering it and just kind of like trying her best to push it away from her, trying to get some distance. And she'll do it again. Just constantly, Jesus. 1.
The dummy collapses on the ground in a shambling pile of metal that returns to dust and sand. And as it does, Emila has her arms folded and she nods. Each spell is a gear. Place it poorly and the whole machine jams. You handled that with your head despite the panic. A good start, to be sure. And as the suit of armor disappears into the sand, you feel this rejuvenating energy in the air around you, and over the next 2 rounds, you regain 10 hit points.
Perfect. She's back up.
You feel the
Right.
wounds that the dummy created in you, like, close up perfectly. It's very strange.
Okay. Yeah, so like the first strike that hit was like a cut across the palm of her hand as she tried to block it with her bare hand. And then the critical one, the one that put her to 1 hit point, was like across the collarbone.
Yeah.
And they both knit up.
Amilla nods as she sees you recover. Your magic is going to be your primary method of defense. I understand, in your previous life, the blade was your answer to your problems, especially the lethal ones. We are teaching you there are better solutions.
I didn't even use it this much. It was more run away and hide.
Unfortunately, that might not be your best course of action anymore. With the Merigard mercenary training, and with the task of working as a contractor comes many responsibilities. There are many monsters in this world, monsters greater than those you might find on the city streets or back alleys. Are you familiar with manticores, chimeras, dragons?
Dragons? Yeah. What are those other things?
Monstrosities, terrible creatures that exist, it seems, only to cause misery on those who live in the civilized nations. Monsters bred from evil and spite. Some of them created by mankind, others created by nature itself. It is our task, when we are hired to do so, to destroy these monsters. Create peace once more in a world that vies for it.
Okay. So,
before we go back to the classroom, Lorelei, I need to ask you. What do you want?
she takes a long time to answer this. And she will settle. She can't find anything right now. And so she will say, I don't know.
Money,
I don't know.
fame, fortune, power, influence, romance. Everyone has a driving force.
I don't know.
Well, from what I understand, you are here as an agreement with Cressida Westward. At least, an agreement between the Vionites of Taka and Cressida, from what I know, to turn you into a Merigard mercenary for amnesty from your previous plights. If all you wish is amnesty, the least I can grant you is the training to earn it. You have the potential. The drive is what I'm hoping you'll find.
She'll just kind of nod very slowly. And she'll like think about that if she can find the drive. She doesn't know yet, but maybe.
Amilla gestures briefly and prestidigitates all the blood off of your clothes from yourself. And then she says, "Right, we have much more to discuss. Please follow me back to the classroom."
How'd you? What's that? What do you? Was that?
It is a simple cantrip, prestidigitation. I'm cleansing the blood and soil from your clothes.
You know that?
You can learn it.
She has it. She just doesn't know it. So maybe later she'll figure that out.
Yeah, sure. Amila leads the way out of the training room.
Okay, she'll follow.
You are brought back to the sorcerer's classroom. Good. So. She gestures for you to sit back down.
She does. She plops into the chair.
Amila sits down at the table and pulls from her fine clothes a teacup, and she begins pouring herself a cup of tea. You are not here to burn things elegantly. You are here because someone has to speak when the rest of the team bristles. As she finishes pouring herself a cup of tea, she pulls a scroll out of her coat and flattens it on the table. A client will lie to you. A noble will underpay you. A mayor will panic when you arrive bloody and half-burned. The sorcerer handles this. And Amila levels her gaze at you. You will learn the language of persuasion, misdirection, and truth. You will learn to read a room and how to own it. Because no one trusts a barbarian to negotiate, and paladins often mean well, which isn't always enough. You'll be sent on mock diplomacy drills, marketplace charades, tavern roleplay, and you'll fail at first, which is good. As she flattens the scroll and shows it to you, she says, "Your power is terrifying. Your job is to make people forget that long enough to get what you came for." And you see that the scroll that she's showing you is a mock contract with vague clauses and conflicting terms and lots of omissions.
Okay. She'll just curiously reach out for it and try to read it.
This is just an example.
Pull it closer.
Yeah, you can. This is just an example of the sort of tomfoolery you're going to have to deal with. The sorcerers of the Mirrorguard Academy, particularly when part of a team, are seen as the face, the ambassador of whatever crew you're working with. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. This I understand.
I'm sure you do. From what I understand, you're a bit of a street urchin, running cons and schemes. When you're doing it for the Mirrorguard Academy, you'll be doing it with assistance.
To look at Amila very suspiciously when she knows what she's up to or what she did. Because she hasn't told anybody.
Yeah. I mean, Amila does not embellish or explain anything.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Lorelai will give her a look how the fuck do you know that?
Amila gestures, and an illusion appears. An illusory individual looks like like a noble, basically.
Mhm.
A woman sits down next to you. And Amila says to you, "This is a client simulation. You will be negotiating a contract on behalf of your team. Your objectives: secure payment, reduce the risk, and do not make a fool of yourself."
Okay.
So, this illusion looks at you with a smile, and she looks very very polite and proper, with sharp eyes. And you hear Amila say, "You are to convince her to increase the offer. You are not to sell out your team's integrity. I'll know if you do." And at this, you then realize that on the scroll that you're holding,
Mm-hmm.
you see, like, the simulated client is Lady Marin Voth, a magistrate of the Hollow Watch. The job is to protect her estate during a rumored-to-occur bandit siege. And the reward offered is 50 gold up front with 200 on completion. She's worried that word of the threat will spread. And she doesn't want anybody to know that this is going on. And so, Lorelei, next to you is this noble woman. She, gestures to the contract. I don't see why we even have to talk about this. I think this is perfectly reasonable.
She won't even look at the contract. She'll look at this noble woman and try to do her best to roleplay here.
Yeah, you're role-playing while role-playing. I like it.
And she will kind of look over the dress. Like, is it noble, like lots of money noble, or lower end of
roll me an insight
nobility?
check.
Okay. Hey, 13.
With a 13, she's wearing finery that looks like merchant's clothes, almost. She definitely seems like she comes from money. Not quite like aristocracy, but definitely wealthy.
Merchant's clothes. Okay. And you said the name is Voth.
Marin Voth. It's not a real name.
Okay.
That's what the contract says. Lady Marin Voth, a magistrate of Hollow Watch, which, if you roll a history, it doesn't exist. This is entirely simulated.
Gotcha. So, I understand that you think this is a fair price, but given that I'm assuming that you have a lot of goods within the home, that you have some things that are worth keeping for inventory for your way of life, your business, I think this is a little understated for the work that we'll be doing in protecting your investment and your assets.
Well, much of the assets are insured, so we don't have to keep everything. I'm more worried about the persons within being unharmed, and so long as the bandits don't get in, so long as you can defend them, let the things that don't matter so much go. I think
Right.
50 gold is perfectly reasonable, with 200 upon our assured survival.
I understand you have insurance on your goods, but how much of a hassle do you want if some of those are taken? I get that you want everybody within the home protected, but the assets also need to be protected, and that would mean double the eyes on everything. And, well, frankly, while the lives... Actually, the lives within are worth more. So, would you want this price for your life to be protected?
Roll a persuasion.
15.
As you say that, you hear Amilla say, "Good. You're pointing out an obvious problem with their argument. This is the sort of thing that lets people lean on their own mistakes and almost turn their arguments against themselves." And as she says that, you see the illusion clearly is thinking about something. And then an illusory individual appears as if out of nowhere. And this one looks like a short, balding human with spectacles who leans down next to Lady Marin and whispers something. You can roll a perception if you'd like to hear it.
Sure. Nope, I don't.
Okay. You don't hear what's going on, but with your insight of 13, you see the expression on quote-unquote Lady Marin changes a little bit, and then she looks to you and she says, "From what I understand, it's just you and your small team that will be defending my estate. Well, with this news, how can I be assured that you'll even be successful in keeping this threat and siege off of public ear? Word gets out, and I don't want that."
Not only do you have our assurance, as our small team is, you also have the assurance of the Merry Guard, who have been doing this for over 100 years, over 200 years. We know.
You hear Amilla say, 100.
It sounds better than the 200.
But
she
Amilla just shakes her head. And she she comments and she says, "Don't make obvious lies. They'll know them. Exaggeration is a fool's tool."
She continues regardless. With that kind of experience behind our team, they have trust in us. So I assure you, you can trust us with this task.
Okay, roll me a persuasion or a deception. Either.
Oh, yeah. No! Ah! 11.
She says, "Please, we'll speak plainly or not at all. I require discretion more than strength."
Discretion.
50 gold now, 200 on a success. That should be sufficient for a fresh mercenary crew. You are unproven, after all. You suspect was a failure.
Yeah. She goodness. The player is struggling.
That's okay. You can ask Amilla for advice.
I think she won't.
Okay.
She wants to do this on her own.
Sure.
Very stubborn like that. So she will. I understand your concern with just a fresh crew, but we have been training for over a year on how to do this properly and how to keep your assets and your lives safe. So I must insist, at least a 50% increase. Because the job will get done, and I can assure you that.
Would you really risk losing the job for a handful more gold? That feels, well, emotional. You can roll me a persuasion if you'd like.
Okay. Come on. Oh my god.
She says, "I don't need arrogance, I need results."
and you'll have them.
My behavior believes you should provide something more personal. A favor owed, perhaps? Are you that sort of negotiator?
Wait. Oh, that was the illusion talking?
Yeah,
Okay.
Amila's not saying anything. She's just listening to see how you handle it.
So you're saying you want something personal to assure you that
Well,
we are behind you 100%.
a little loyalty now could earn you far more than gold in the future.
All right. Very well then. What?
It's okay if you need to think about this. Like, if you want to think of
Yeah.
another angle, it's okay.
Gosh, I got nothing. I think the help that she'll ask will be a glance towards Amilla. She won't actually ask, but she'll be like, she'll just glance over, like, fuck.
Amilla will say, which is it's weird that she says it openly, but Amilla will say, "It is clear, Lady Varth doesn't think much of your capability, or at least she's pretending to. Perhaps a show or demonstration, or some exposure of your abilities, a history." Subtle, not actually dangerous, but sometimes some leverage that you must create is required.
Okay. Miss Voth, we've already, well, before contract, or this contract was brought to your table, we did our own research on your home and its vulnerabilities. We've done our homework, and she'll open up her soul to create a minor illusion
Okay.
of a home that she has robbed before.
Okay. You're
And it'll be
using
like
you're using this like a blueprint example, basically.
like a blueprint, like it's a 3D like blueprint illusory kind of thing, just kind of like one of those models that you see in a sci-fi film where you can actually like look into each room and
Yep.
yeah, and it kind of rotates a little bit as she creates this illusion of this house.
You roll me because you're playing with history that you have like an image that you're working with, and I don't even think you knew you could do this until just now.
Nope.
Give me a deception at advantage.
Okay. Oh my. Okay, 14.
With a 14. If you're serious about your team, I can adjust the terms, but don't make me regret it.
Not regret it.
And as the illusion like begins to like make markings on the contract, they disappear. And Amila says, "That was a little unorthodox. But you do have more of a knack with people than you do your magic."
I'd say so, yeah. How did I do that? What?
As you become more comfortable with the weave and the innate order of your soul, you will discover all sorts of new things that you can do that you didn't know.
I was literally gonna like draw a layout of a house and that just appeared. I don't get it.
You should see what else you can do with such imagery.
Um okay.
We
I'll
call
work
that
on
manifestation minor illusion.
Useful.
Oh, yes. One of the most useful spells for a sorcerer, as you can create things that other people can see, and then they might act upon it. And depending upon your own proficiency with your magic, the illusion becomes harder and harder to see through.
Okay.
With enough creativity, you can trick people into thinking entire things that you wish them to.
He kind of mutters, would have been useful a couple years ago.
Well, unfortunately, you didn't have the trauma then. And Mila, like, collects the contract back up.
Ouch.
Yeah. And she puts it away and she says, "Well, if you check the time, that is, well, all we had for today. You are welcome to stay here and study if you'd like the histories of other Mechanus-aligned sorcerers, or, and I recommend you do, go get yourself something to eat. The rest of the day is yours."
Okay. I think she doesn't want to be down here anymore. So she'll scuttle out.
Yep. Amila like goes back to the overstuffed chair in the corner and opens up a book.
What
And
is there? Is there a clock in here? Can you see, like, glance at it and see what time it is now?
there is a clock in here. It is 3 in the afternoon.
Holy. Okay. Day went by quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. She'll probably starving by now.
Oh, probably.
Yep. She'll wander her way to the mess hall.
As you're leaving, like Sparks is like running up after you from behind you, and he says, "Hey, do you want to go get something to eat? I know a really good place."
Um,
Come on, it's my treat.
Sure. Yeah.
And Sparks like just seems excitedly like leads the way out of the classroom. "You're gonna love this place. Oh man, they have the best turkey. Assuming that you like turkey. I don't want to assume anything." And he goes out, opening the door, and seems to just have this boundless energy about him that is probably annoying.
So I think she'll follow, kind of padding along. And then as soon as they break the barrier of the front door, she'll pull her cloak hood over her head and just kind of like stuff her hands in her pockets and just follow.
Where are you from? I don't recognize your accent at all.
Terracona?
Oh. I guess I should, huh? And he just kind of leads the way. "I'm from Saris."
All right. That's a bit south of me, I think. Right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And, you ever heard of the Iron Crags?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's where I'm from. It's all right. Lots of kobolds around there, nobody else, so I wouldn't blame you. And he just leads the way. I'm Sparks, by the way. I'm sure you know my name. I'm sorry. Your people are fun. He just keeps walking.
Okay. I'm Elle. You can call me Elle.
Elle. Nice and simple.
Mm-hmm.
And he
I
leads the way out into the street proper, and you see the sign for the Merry Guard. You
Is it this
probably...
place?
Yeah, you been here?
No, but I've passed it a couple times.
Oh, it's great. I mean, the pun is awesome, and the staff, they're real quick, and they're real nice, especially, the gold one. She's super cool. And he walks right into the tavern,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a gold dragonborn immediately within the doors who just kind of nods to both of you. And Sparks says, "Hi, Riveria!" And the gold dragonborn just looks at him. Yeah, super nice. And he goes to one of the tables.
Uh, she'll just kind of like, as she passes the dragonborn, she'll just kind of take her hand out of her pocket and just do this little wave.
The dragonborn just gives you a nod, like a little up nod.
Okay.
And then completely ignores you. Yep. We're now into the tavern splash. Let me pull. Sparks is with you.
Mm-hmm.
And as Sparks sits down, do me a favor. Roll me a d12.
Okay. 3.
Okay. As he sits down, immediately sitting next to Sparks, like before you even sit down, a little gnome with blonde hair like just plops down next to him. Today's been the fucking worst, she says as she sits down. And Sparks is like, "Oh, hey, Val. Val? Elle, Val."
Hello.
The gnome looks at you, just like gives you an up nod, and then just slams her head on the table. "I'm the worst at this. I fucking hate being a bard. I can't do this. Fucking hell." And Sparks just like pats her on the back and says, "Why don't you take a look at a menu, Al? Because there's a lot." Just doesn't say anything about what Val is protesting about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'll just kind of like, are there menus on the table?
Oh,
Is it that
sure.
kind of?
Here's the menu.
Okay.
Anything you want on me. Just, maybe keep it under a couple gold.
Uh, yeah, I'll do that.
And Val, like, tilts her head and says, "That's for me too, right?" And Sparks says, "Okay, sure."
Oh no, this poor guy. I think she'll go for just a hearth stew. It's the cheapest thing on the menu. She doesn't want to
Okay, yeah, sure.
break the bank on this guy.
As that happens,
Poor kobold.
Val, like, orders the sweet potato wedges and some blackened steak and a bunch of just, like, she orders, like, a big old pitcher of wagon porter for the table.
Oh boy.
And Sparks is, like, watching her place the order with, like, a growing dread on his face. And when you only order the hearth stew, he says, "Thanks. Yeah, that's gonna be great."
And she was gonna do a slice of apple pie, but she'll think better of it.
Oh, like, Val orders a pie for the table.
Oh, okay. Well, fair enough. That's good.
As that happens, Sparks like, "Okay."
I think at that, she'll feel a little bad, but she doesn't want to like outwardly show it, so she'll sleight of hand a couple gold his way or in his pocket.
Roll sleight of hand.
Yeah. natural 20 for 26.
Okay, yeah, neither of them fucking have a clue. As you do that, how much gold do you put in his pocket?
I'll put it to just 2.
2 gold. Okay. As you're doing that, like, and Val is basically complaining about her day, Sparks, like, looks at you and he says, okay, I gotta know. What did you do? Like, so Miss Dorn has been, a good. I've only been here a couple weeks. She's been nice to me. Well, nice.
Mm-hmm.
He like seems to be searching for the words. She's way more hands-on with you. Does that make sense?
She is?
Yeah. Well,
I,
okay, so for Arithea, I don't think she knows what to do with her, because Arithea's all, like, about blood, and it's weird. And from what I understand, Arithea's magic doesn't come the way ours do. From, like, will and memory and stuff. Hers comes from her blood. I can't, it's so weird. You're gonna have to talk to her about it. But Ms. Dorn, when she was talking to me, she basically she saw what I could do, and she was like, great, and she started showing me books to read and stuff. But with you, she's like going way more into it.
well, I don't know. I thought that you got the same treatment when you came here.
Well, I got the Miss Voth bullshit thing too. That was annoying. Like, she just was mean to me. You definitely handled that better than I did. But the stuff with the cube and stuff like that wasn't how I got it at all.
And how did you get it?
Well, see Sparks like looks a little sheepish, and he looks down at the mug that's now placed before him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm a kobold, so she said that my magic came from dragons, but I'm not a dragon. I'm just kin. And I was like, yeah, I know that. We're all dragonkin. They were the first ones on the world, so, I mean, we're all dragonkin. And she didn't like that answer very much. So then she gave me a bunch of books about heritage and what sort of dragon I might be inherited from. But I know what kind of dragon I'm from. I don't need a book to tell me that. And it's a copper one, by the way. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
it's okay. He like kind of like reels it back in. It's acid. I use acid magic. Anyway, when I was talking about that, she got really like, I think she has a problem with dragons, or maybe with copper ones. I don't know. Anyway, she like showed me a bunch of books, and well, I didn't go to the training room until I was a week in, and I haven't even had my first free agency yet, so.
But I'm pretty sure you probably know your magic more than I do. I didn't even know I could do this stuff until less than a week ago.
Oh. What do you, well then how did you know you were going to be a a sorcerer?
I didn't.
Okay. Is that why she said all that stuff about her brother?
I couldn't tell you why she said all that stuff. And
Okay.
she's outright lying to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's... You can roll a deception if you want.
19.
Okay, well... Anyway, like,
From what I've seen and what I heard, your magic seems really cool. I'm really excited to see more of it. It's all like clockwork and gears and stuff, and I've read about clockwork sorcery before, but I've never seen it.
Um, yeah, me neither.
Do you understand how cool that shit is, though? Like, you can change the rules. Like, you can make things make sense when they won't.
I think I'll need a lot more training before I understand it.
Oh, fucking probably, but I'm just saying, from what I've read, that all seems real cool. I mean, all I get to do is melt stuff, which is useful,
You
but...
you read about it?
Oh, yeah, there's lots of books in there. That talk about all the different heritages and the types of magic. Wild magic's a fucking mess, by the way. That's like the opposite of you. Wild magic is where literally the weave goes all haywire and nonsense happens.
Do you have the book on you?
No, it's in the classroom. There's a bunch of them.
Okay. Uh, she'll note that and just kind of like think about that, going to retrieve it later on.
As you like having this conversation, a dwarven barmaid like steps up to the table and sets your hearth stew in front of you, and also like all the other appetizers that were ordered are set on the table. And Val just says, "You're a darling, Rockworth. Thank you very much." And the dwarven barmaid just smiles and continues on with what she was doing. And Val looks between you and Sparks, and she says, "You're brand new here.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think so far?"
Come back to me on that one. I don't know yet.
Right. Well,
Well, instructor's a bit stuffy.
yeah, no kidding. And Sparks like takes a long drink of the porter, and as Val stuffs like a sweet potato wedge in her mouth, she says, "Well, my instructor spends most of her time drinking or here, playing music. So, it could be an extreme one way or the other."
Lorelai will kind of like give Val once over. Is she wearing all the flashy stuff that she saw at the bard table?
Yeah, she's a bard, 100%.
Okay. I don't think Lorelai has put any of the gear on except for the daggers.
Yeah.
Yet. But so you would like wearing all that flashy stuff?
Oh yeah. Are you kidding me? This stuff fits perfect. Once you get yourself fitted, you don't ever want to take it off. This is the nicest shit I've worn since I was back home.
And where is that?
You see Val's like face splits into a wide smile, and she says, "Well, wouldn't you know, I'm from Zephyr."
Zephyr. Oh, that's like is that
That's the floating
off?
continent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, really. All right.
Oh, aye. Ma and Pa were scientists up in Revotra.
Does the gondola go up to Zephyr, or does it just go to the under?
It just goes to Undertow. The only way to get to Zephyr is either along the Titan Steps, which walk around the outside of Undertow, and it's famous for being a very perilous journey, or by teleporting or flying up to Revotra.
Okay. So, have you ever gone underneath?
Oh, sure.
Undertow? Okay.
I've been all over the place up there. And she winks at you. She seems eager to tell any story. Do you find yourself with a little bit of wanderlust?
I been to Undertow before.
That's beauty.
Long time ago. It
It's
was a day trip. Well, more than a day. We took the gondola from Taka.
up to Sithicus.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there a few times. I can't help
Have you
but
ever-
wax poetic anytime I see the glowing green highway that hangs through there. It's gorgeous.
I can't really remember that trip too much,
Oh,
but maybe again in the future. I don't know.
I'm going back there from the Midwinds Festival. That's not for a few months though.
Oh, okay. Is there any reason why you're going for that special occasion?
Val blinks. Oh, I have lots of stories to sing.
Fair enough.
It's the best way to get in touch with all the old folk back home.
Well, I wish you safe journeys then.
Oh, I mean, Tally has to approve on the idea. And
Is it soon?
No, it's not for a few months. And
Well,
I
you'll still
haven't.
be training here then.
I will indeed. I've only been here about a month.
I see. Okay. And what have you learned from your time here? Since I'm assuming you're the most veteran here.
At this table, I. She nods, looking at Sparks, who is like chewing on a sweet potato wedge, and he just says, "What? Yeah, sure, by a couple of weeks." And Val just shrugs, and then she says, "Well, I've learned that you can make magic out of music. I've learned that it's not as complicated as you think, but it's very emotional. And I've learned that a good rapier is just as good to back up a song as any other spell.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also learned that Tally is a slut. But don't tell her I said that."
She'll like her eyes will go, her brows will go up, and at that, like just the blatant.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think
Okay.
that's part of being a bard, but she sure makes it seem like that.
Yeah, to each their own.
I mean, nothing wrong with having fun, I suppose.
So, have either of you met any of the other instructors? Or have you stuck with your own instructors?
Val looks over at Sparks, and Sparks... I heard there was a wizard Okay, I heard that the wizarding instructor was a dragon, so I went to go look. And he is.
Really?
Yep, big old brass dragon. His name's Tabernac, and, he seems very scholarly. But I'm pretty sure he can read your mind when you're in his classroom, so just be aware of that if you go visit him.
Noted. Okay.
Got a real big library, though. Bigger than what's in the sorcerer classroom by far.
That's pretty neat.
Well, it makes sense. Brass dragons, their hoard is knowledge, so...
Have either of you met the paladin instructor?
They both just go, no, at the same time.
Okay.
And Val says, wouldn't really have cause to, would I? Would you need a paladin?
Guess not. Nope. Just wondering.
I've heard she's rough and tumble.
She's
I heard she was a hero from some shit. I don't know. A while ago?
a hero?
Yeah,
mean-
the fuck. So, you remember all that hubbub about the Demon King Nagora a couple years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Rumor has it she was part of the team that led the charge to destroy him.
Really?
I guess. I mean, I don't know. She's. I mean, I've heard she's certainly big enough. I don't want to fuck with her.
And have you been on an agent or a free agency? I think it is called.
Yeah, I've been
She
on a
doesn't
couple.
have now. How
I've
do
been
those
on a
work?
couple. Well, you're, well, she scowls a little bit. Your instructor decides what's best for you, and then you're sent to Persh, and Persh gives you some task that you're supposed to do for free, and then you go do it. And if you do a good enough job, they jerk you off and send you home. And if you do a bad job, well, you get in trouble, and then Persh yells at you.
I was. Well, have you been successful in any of them, or
I've been on
all of
2.
them?
My first one went well. My second one did not. I guess I'll lay it out for you. My first one, I had to go have a conversation with Bud over at Bud's Buds.
Mhm.
There was some problem that she was having with property, and someone was not supposed to be there. So I had to go clear some things up, and just basically I had to talk my way through, convince Bud that it's not as big a deal as she was making it out to be. And, that was fine. I ended up with some free mellow thistle out of the deal, which was, it's fine.
Mhm.
My second free agency, I had to go help escort a caravan from here out to the edges of Fettleback Farms. And Boggles got into the caravan, and while we killed them, they did get into the goods, and they were spoilt because Boggles leaked this fucking oil all over everything, and the client was really unhappy, so...
Oh, bad luck.
I mean, what am I supposed to do about Boggles? They teleport wherever they want. And the client was dissatisfied with that answer, so... I was on a task with River, if you ever run into her.
Who?
It's
River.
she's a monk. She's no nonsense. Don't think she has a sense of humor. We did not work
Alright.
well together. If you end
I
up
see.
with a mission on her, maybe you'll do better than I did, but she's just so stuffy. And Val takes a long drink.
Got it. So, River, no sense of humor. Got it. I think she'll finally. Is a stew in front of her?
Oh, it's been in front of you for a minute.
Yeah, She hasn't really touched it until now, and she'll just take one bite.
So, you
Um,
know how French onion soup has that piece of bread in the middle that's soaked up all the broth with cheese melted
oh
over it?
yeah.
This is the same thing, except surrounding the bread is like softened yellow potatoes and all sorts of like vegetables around it, like pea pods and celery and broccoli. And as soon as you start, like, you push the spoon into the bread, you watch as the spoon just like cuts into it, and you get this big spoonful of broth-soaked bread, and it smells amazing.
Yeah, I think having not eaten all day, I think that will just get her entire focus, and she'll eat.
It is amazing. If you eat the horse stew from top to bottom, you gain 8 temporary hit points.
Oh, all right,
I rolled really well.
very nice.
So,
That's almost her entire HP
yeah.
max. All right.
As
Uh,
you like, if there's any last things you want to do here, by all means.
Yeah, I think she'll eat the stew and kind of take one single slice of pie and eat that, and just uh, she won't give anything away about much about herself, or like why she came here, why she is here. She'll properly deflect any questions like that.
Most of what happens after like the initial introductions and stuff is you're witnessing Sparks and Valerie have a long conversation that is mostly Val making fun of Sparks and Sparks being defensive.
Uh-huh. Okay, then if they're like engrossed in this banter back and forth, I think she will take the time to look to people watch people in the tavern and see if she can clock anybody else from the Maryguard Academy.
Okay.
Not yeah.
Yeah, roll an investigation.
Oh goody. 11.
Hold on.
Good.
There's lots of individuals that you see wearing Maryguard colors, but not all of them are wearing like the student insignia like Sparks and Val are. However, you do see one that really stands out to you.
Okay.
And she mostly stands out to you because she is looking at you.
Hmm. Okay, that makes her uncomfortable.
Yeah. You see it is a forged. A woman with a metal body, a metal face, and golden eyes. More so, though, she's wearing like a hood and robes. And you immediately recognize the symbol of Lilus on a huge medallion, like a holy symbol right in the center of her chest.
Okay.
You see that she has like like a third of an apple pie in front of her. And you watch as her metallic faceplate opens and she puts a bite of apple pie into it. And as she does, you watch the apple pie disintegrate into blue energy before she closes her faceplate. Like you just catch that right as it's happening. Which is
okay, cool.
how a forged eats, it appears.
But
This is what she looks like.
oh, okay. Oh wow, yeah.
It's a very distinct appearance, which is why
Yeah,
you
definitely.
spot her on an 11. And she has looked at you a number of times. Roll me a history check.
All right, here it comes. I'm so good at this. All right. Oh, not bad. 16.
16. You would remember seeing a forged like this before, but with your passive insight, you get the feeling maybe she recognizes you, or she's looking at you like she expects something.
And I probably don't remember.
You would remember this individual, I think, with a 16, if you
And
had
she has
seen
a
her
symbol,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, she does.
I think if I clock that she might recognize me, Lorelai will just like kind of sink back because she's swindled some people before.
Uh-huh.
She probably doesn't specifically remember this one, but seeing the symbol and just putting things together in her mind, she'll kind of slink back and just avoid icon like her her focus is now just on the food.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. What she was hoping with the to try and spot someone was she was trying to see if she can spot that tiefling that walked out of the temple last night.
I'm afraid
That
he
wearing-
is not here, it seems.
Fair enough.
He was a big guy. You would spot him.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. She was curious seeing the Maryguard, lapels and him coming out of
Yep.
well, a safe space that she would or what she associates as a safe space.
Yeah. You distinctly remember he had like brown skin and reddish brown horns, and he's tall, like he was like 6'6". You absolutely would
Sweet.
spot him, and he's not you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. With that, she'll just kind of like, oh, probably. Yep. She'll just focus on the food and just kind of like pick at the different appetizers. Um,
Yeah,
that
you absolutely get enough to eat, on
Mhm.
partially Sparks coin. Though you're confident the 2 gold probably took a good dent out of the bill.
That's good. All right.
Um,
So, yeah, she'll avoid eye contact or looking around.
okay. The forged does eventually like get up and leave. Does not actually like approach you or anything.
Okay.
But it does take like 20 minutes or so. And as that happens, as we proceed with the evening at the Merry Guard, I think that is where we will call tonight's session.
Okay. That's good.
One moment here. Let me just go ahead and pull this up. Thank you for playing with me tonight. I hope you had a good time. And to those of you who are at home or at work listening, hi Penn, hi Class, hi Emily, hi everybody else. We love you
Hello.
all, and I wish you a good night.